Welcome back everyone. Today we're going to be making a tutorial on archers. These are a fun addition to any tabletop game or battlefield. So let's learn how to make some of these guys. So just like normal, we get our stencil and we trace around it, and we're doing the arms apart pose and the one leg standing forward just so that we get that archer type effect that we want to go on. Using a stencil here to trace the curve of the bow. We're going to be making it a recurve bow, and we're going to be drawing adding an arrow to the hand as well once we get this character sketched in. And it's always handy to make the arrow part of the hand on the other side. It's going to make the process a lot easier down the road. Doing some details on the face, and just getting the fine-tuned details with this fine tip pen, tracing this character in. And like always, it's not too big a deal if you don't get straight lines. You can fix that with scissors. Adding some skin tone. And then I jumped ahead of myself and forgot to erase before I put the skin tone in, but that's alright. Now we're going to ink this guy in with different colors, giving him almost a ranger type color look. Adding the black brush pen for the hair. And now we're ready to cut this guy out. Archers get really tedious when you're cutting them out, especially around the bow. Sometimes you can end up folding the bow up and it curves and curls, but that's something that's actually pretty easy to fix post-stage. Getting around this arrow tip, cutting it out as part of that, it saves a lot of gluing in the future if you're doing each of the individual parts. Once we get this guy cut out, we're going to straighten out the tips of the bow, trim up some of the jagged edges, straighten all the pieces out, tip of the arrow and the points of the bow, and we're going to get ready to color him on the opposite side. Now that we have him turned around, we're going to be adding our details to the back. Once you get the hang of where things are, this process becomes easier over time. I forgot to draw the hands there on the bow, adding them in. Getting some coloration into this guy, and I was part way through this part of the process when it dawned on me. I used the wrong color on part of the arm. Not a problem, I just went over it with a darker color, and so it's an easy thing to fix. As long as you start with a lighter color first, I recommend that. It's easier to fix those mistakes later on when you do it that way. But not a big deal, and we're moving on, getting the rest of the color finished up. Adding our last bits of color. And we're going to be ready to bend this guy into shape. Once again, if you were able to trim the neck part of the character pretty close with the scissors, you can get some really dynamic head poses as well. I'm going to tilt the bow just slightly. And this is an important part. You want to bring that arrow over the bow carefully, and then you want to back the arm up after you straighten it out to where you want it. You're going to bring that shoulder back and bend at the elbow of the archer. And that gives him that really dynamic archer pose that you're looking for. And then we're going to continue on. We're going to bend the legs and pose the waist, so that we can get ready to mount this guy on the base. And once we're doing the gluing part, it's going to be important to just put a tad right above the arms where you want the arrow to stick to the bow, and on the feet, of course. And after securing the arrow into place, it's time to mount the feet by using the tip of the tweezers, like always, onto this pre-painted base. Another cool detail to add if you have the foresight is drawing a quiver on the back of the character, but here I didn't do that, so I'm just going to add one. So I'm going to cut out the small one, put in some detail for the arrow fletching and the quiver itself, and you won't need to put much detail on the back end of this after we cut it out. Here I'm just cutting out some little triangles at the top just to give it some texture. And like I said earlier, you don't need to worry about too much details when you turn this guy around, as long as you have the fletching done. and just a little strip of that dark brown color along the top when it's going to be on the shoulder of the character. Just throw a little glue on there, and you're ready to mount it to your character's back using the tweezers and get a good press on there so that it fastens well. And the archer is done. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. We'll see you again soon. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Until we meet again.